Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Elial. I am here today to talk about the energies of the next week from March 23rd until March 29th. So we've just went through the equinox, but there are aspects that have been active since days ago, 4 days ago, and that are part of this event, and we are going to feel them along this week too. First of all, I wanted to remind you that Mercury in Pisces moves from its stationary movement from March 24th. This is an indicator to go forward with decisions, beginnings, exchanges of information, buying, selling, and to do it from a place of greater clarity. Right now, I'm going to go to the Aries zone of our natal chart because we don't have many aspects this week, but everything happens here and we talk about important configurations. For example, today, March 22nd, it is perfected the conjunction between the Sun and Neptune in Aries. And on March 25th, it is the Sun with Saturn in Aries, the ones that are perfecting the conjunction. These transits are still active for the rest of the week, and we feel them a lot because these are the first encounters that the Sun have with both of them. Saturn was in Aries from the 1996 until 1999, and Neptune from 1861 to 1875, more or less. So I talked about the possible manifestations in the video of the equinox. You have it in the reproduction list, but I wanted to remind you that this conjunction with Saturn in the degree 4 with 43 minutes, it is going to be experimented in different ways according to the personal process and the house where this is happening. Some people could feel a lot this restrictive quality of Saturn because, we have to return. It is important to return to the function of the situation. If there is a limitation, a blockage, a door that is closing, everything has a purpose. I am referring that frequently the tendency to lose ourselves in the frustration because there is a result in the material level that is not happening or that is going too slow could make us overlook the purpose of why that situation is happening. And for some people could be a challenge for their own growth, but for others could be an indicator that that is not the path that they need to go through, or it is not the way to do it so. And both persevering, which is a quality of Saturn, as much as, in something that perhaps it is not giving an immediate result, but is going to build in the long term, as understanding that we need to put a boundary or taking a decision, even if this is linked with facing a fear or managing other emotional states such as impulsivity. All of this is a key. Other shadow of this transit could be this kind of, of being shut from our own perceptions, with the sensation that we can't do anything to change certain situation. And if certainly we cannot do anything to force something on the outside, it is because that situation is inviting us to develop patience, not as waiting that everything can solve magically, but again, to evaluate what is required right now to move forward. Could be new behaviors, new ways of establishing boundaries, and this of course could imply process and having to regulate impatience, and even giving an end to a circumstance that doesn't possess any constructive potential yet. So in other level, this is more about giving a step that could generate certain resistances. Fears of failure, of losing something, but trying to procrastinate that situation, it is going to attract circumstances or manifestations that are not comfortable on the outside, and that they are going to put the pressure to assume responsibility. And then there are the people that are initiating something, so it is a good moment to give a structure to the zen, that to the matter, those projects of life, or people that have been building something over a vision or a purpose that they feel that is aligned with their soul. Well, this could involve the transcendence of a challenge. It could be external or an internal perception, or perhaps taking their project to a new level, that requires to assume greater responsibilities. That same day, we have other aspect, that is the Sun in Aries in a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. And this is accompanying everything that I am mentioning because it invites us to a transformation or a new way to assume our power of co-creation of the experience. but without the resistance that could show, a square or opposition. It is the opportunity to make a change, to innovate, to purge aspects of our lives, and doing all of this in order to open the doors to a new, different reality. Could also be connecting with groups or communities with which we feel that there are, evolutionary ideas, or precisely to make it easier leaving behind dynamics with people that we don't feel with resonance anymore. We don't feel resonance with them because they are not aligned anymore with who we are right now. And this is very connected with another aspect that I'm going to comment by the end of this video. I am going to continue right now. March 26th, Venus in Aries, it is going to make a conjunction with Chiron in the degree 25. You could feel this from March 24th until 28th, and is an aspect that proposes certain contact with pain or insecurity or a fear that has been present along our lives. Anger is the emotion more related with all the transits of this week, and well, in this case, this could be indicating the point of pain, the point of the wound, a wound that perhaps we are not going to eradicate completely of our system, but we can learn to manage the choices that we do, so we are not impulsing them from the conditioning that the wound originated. And because we are talking about Venus, it is important to observe simply because, it could be put in evidence certain imbalances in our self-esteem, in the way that we are giving value to ourselves, in their relationships or resources, or in how capable we feel, going towards what we really desire. And there could be a tendency to project. This means to overreact or to react in a very imbalanced way. And beyond the intentions that other people could impulse, effectively, there are people that are operating with negative intentions or from incoherences, but others don't. And what other people can do without, this intention of hurting us, but it still hurts, it is our own labor to recognize that. And well, later we have, the way that we are managing how we are acting in any case is our responsibility too. So could also emerge a little bit this sensation of injustice in certain situations, that we are not being validated, or that other people are not giving our space. And if that is happening, it is because the circumstances are reflecting how we need to give our own space. It is not about demanding to the other people, trying to impose it through force or in violent ways, or losing the energy in defending our ego or identity when that doesn't have a truly evolutionary purpose. If we are recognizing that we are truly acting in coherence, we don't need justifications for that. But many times we are seeking for the external validation to do the things that we desire, and our advancement and initiatives cannot depend every time on other people. There will be cases that, you are dealing with conflicts with people that are acting without accountability for what they are doing, and it hasn't sense in sustaining those conflicts. And there could be other situations where people need to be firm with the things that cannot be invaded or transgressed. And we don't need to do that. This is not attached to being violent. We can be firm, we can be assertive without being violent. So it is about giving our space without from investing our energy in what makes us feel good, in what cultivates the recognition of self-love and love in general, and in what represents this assertive acting. Doing what we genuinely want to do from our soul. We know that this could be a challenge for many people these days, and that have been a challenge because of the programmings that we have sustained. This is also an invitation to retire from places that what we are giving is not valued, or there is not reciprocal exchange because there is no disposition or will from the other side, and we cannot demand again because the exigency that we could do to other people, it is emerging already from the wound. Right now we are, going through this transit of Neptune that in its shadow is to try to justify situations, actions of other people. So we are not dissolving a fantasy or an expectation that we have over that relationship or experience. But this aspect with Venus is going to put us in contact with how we are feeling, in a real way. And yeah, this could be uncomfortable, but also there is this great possibility of healing if we allow ourselves to feel the pain, not to attach ourselves to the pain. So the pain can teach us how we truly need to give value to ourselves or learn to trust in our own directions of the soul. At last, but this is on track since the beginning of March, and it will continue until the half of April. In fact, both of them, I am talking about the sextile between Saturn in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius. Both of them have been activating this since the last year, 2025, from these new signs. But right now, Saturn, it is in its definite transit in Aries. So we are talking about constructions or structures that are coming from this new paradigm of consciousness. Saturn is a social planet, Pluto is a transpersonal planet, and even those structures are not consolidated in the collective, but it is in evidence that forms of leadership that have been developed, the figures that are representing these leaderships, are operating from a vision, perceptions, and decisions that cannot contain the individual and collective need of growth and change. And this sextile could be develop that individual function from the soul, from something that you are beginning right now, the construction of projects that are going to be part of the contribution to the collective, especially if those projects are proposing things that are coming out from these structures, or are linked with forms of leaderships that are not centered in one person or a fanatist ideology. They are involving more groups of people that are debating ideas, not to impose what our identity desires, but to put in practice what genuinely could benefit all of us. Functioning group requires to put our egos aside to connect with intention, the highest intentions. And this is something that we all have to work on, because if we seek to being right, to win, no one wins. And the eclipses of the next series are going to give us a lot of lessons linked with this. We also speak of, regarding this transit, of projects that could imply a known transformation, the transformation of ourselves and of other people for the increasing of social awareness. But if still there is no project, a specific project, it is because first, there would be a need to attend an inner labor and decisions in other areas of life. But all of that goes towards the same ending, being an agent of transformation in this collective process. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.